Whatever stage you're at with your trading, it's important to stop and gain perspective before planning your next move. Take a break from the charts and join in the discussion with our hosts, Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes, as they share insights, opinions, and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair, and join the Trader Coffee Break.
Well. Welcome to another Trader Coffee Break. I hope you're doing well. My name is Jason Graystone.
My name is Akil Stokes.
The one and only. So, man, we missed a week last week because of things, and we're back. So that's the main important thing. We're going to be talking about something that we get asked quite a bit. And this was a question that came up through Akil. How did we learn price action? Was it watching videos or reading books?
Yeah, very common question. And I think we're both going to have the same answer on this, but I don't think there's one single answer. It's not just books. It's not just videos. It's not just the other things that we talk about, but in general, just kind of a bigger picture in learning in the first place, right? You know, learning comes from everywhere. Learning comes from books, it comes from videos, it comes from experience, it comes from conversations, it comes from mistakes. So learning just comes from life, and in different aspects of life, you learn different things from everything that occurs. But I think the main part of the question, Jason, was, can you learn price action from books and videos? And if so, which ones would you choose? And if not, what would you say is, I guess, a more efficient way to kind of really learn about price action and how to be a chartist?
Yeah. There's a bit of a pandemic out there at the moment where I see a lot of traders call themselves discretionary traders, where they you know, they think they can learn a little bit about price and just like get a feel for the market and what it's going to do. And it's a tragedy, really, because there are certain things that are like fundamentally like the fundamental principles of price action. There are certain things that you have to learn. Like there are certain things that are relevant to all types of trading when it comes to price action. And as you say, you can learn from books, you can learn from mentors, you can learn from looking over the shoulder of other traders, you can learn from videos, whatever it might be. But then there's other price action. I think what people get it confused with a lot of the time is when they say, how do you read price action, what they're trying to get at is, how do you learn a strategy from understanding price action? So we could go quite deep on all this, but the way I see it is like, it's like baking a cake. There are certain ingredients that you need to make a cake. So there's egg, flour, water, right? There's no argument. You need those to make a sponge, right? But then there's all different ways to get the outcome of the cake that you want. And that's going to be acquired to your taste and, you know, what it is that you like. So it's how you take those ingredients that you need to understand, and then how you develop those and put those into something that's going to deliver the results that you want. So price action. What I would start by saying, don't learn it this way. There is lots of resource centers out there like Baby Pips, which is fantastic resource center. But if you go and take the whole of Baby Pips, as we've said before, you're going to learn everything about everything, and that's going to cause some overwhelm. I went through that. I went through books. I went through videos. I had mentors. I went through coaches. I went through courses. And what I tried to listen out for were just the fundamental principles. Like, where were the common, what did all of them say? Like, if that makes sense. Like, what were the things that they were all pointing towards as the ingredients? And it really comes down to, structure, support, resistance, understanding direction, understanding certain price action patterns and where that can be powerful, understanding candlestick and anatomy, and understanding the chart and charting, price points, time and date, things like that are the technical side of what you look at when you look at a chart, and what's going to be needed when you start to bake that cake, when you start developing a strategy.
Yeah, and I would say this, just following up on the cake reference, because I'm extremely hungry right now, by the way. There's a big difference between opening up a cookbook and reading the directions on how to read a cake, or I guess in this stage, going on to Google and searching how to bake a cake. You can read the directions as much as you want, put the oven on this, do that, do this. But the real skill and art of understanding how to bake that cake isn't going to come until you actually do it, until you put it in the oven and you say that, oh man, the instruction said 16 minutes, but it's a little bit burnt, or the instruction said 30 minutes and it's a little bit moist in the middle, right? It's that experience of doing it over and over, kind of that trial and error, even with different flavors. If you're adding something of your own, that's where you really learn how to cook or learn how to trade. So kind of like what Jason mentioned, right? Sources like Baby Pips or any type of kind of beginner source, you want to go in there and find those fundamental foundational elements. And there are a lot of good books that will have that. There's a lot of good resources that will have that. But it's important to understand that just because you are reading it and you're learning it doesn't mean you've mastered it, right? You can't just go to Baby Pips or go to a book, read the book, and now you're a price action master, right? You now have to take that information, you have to practically apply it, and that's where the learning really begins. The learning really begins where you get onto a chart and you start practically applying that knowledge, where you start finding and searching for the things you learned about, where you start seeing that, hey, in the book it looked like this, but in the real life it kind of looks like this, and you start putting those two things together, and that's the real learning process. So I think books are helpful, I think videos are helpful, but like anything else, only if you use it the right way. You can go on YouTube and search price action strategy, double top strategy, Bollinger, whatever strategy you want all day long. It's going to be useless until you actually practice it, see it, and learn it on your own. And there's no substitute for just a pure investment in the charts when it comes to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, great points. In terms of like actually learning price action, what books do we recommend? We've recommended some books before, but things like The Art and Science of Technical Analysis by Adam Grimes, it's a big, hefty one. I know it's probably going to be an overwhelming place to start. But the truth is, there are some really good, there's some really good points in there. Tier 1, the emergence, those events that we've run over the years are just great places to start, because we go through all that stuff. All of those principles we go through on most of our events that we run at Tier 1. And in terms of what was it like, was it watching, reading videos, books? When I did all that was just I was just geeked out on it. So the quicker you can learn, the quicker you can kind of uncover the common bits and pieces that you need. So I just immerse myself. I really geek out on stuff. And when I learn something new, every minute that I can get is spent reading, geeking, videos, just as much as I can until I can start to see a common path. And then I can, whoever I resonate with, whoever I'm listening to, I just try and find out more and more from them. I don't know about you, Akil.
Yeah, and the learning part is interesting, and I had a conversation about this this morning in a live room about just how the learning is never ending, right? We are always going to be learning. There's always something else to find in trading, and I think that's why we both love it so much, that there are things right now that are happening in the market that we don't even know exist, right? It's kind of like the universe. There's stuff out there we don't even know exists. At some point, we'll have the technology to learn about it, and then it becomes this new interesting thing. But it's the same thing. Like, you learn about one concept in the market, and at first that concept is pretty difficult, right? It takes a lot of kind of mental energy to learn that concept. But as you get the reps, as you train your RAS and you do it over and over again, it becomes easier and easier. So what once was hard and difficult has now become easier. Once it becomes easier, it takes a lot less kind of mental energy to identify it and find it. It kind of becomes like second nature, right? If I'm like, hey, Jason, go into a chart and find a pin bar, you can probably find like 100 within 5 minutes because like you know exactly what you're looking for. And when you make that shift of mastering one thing, it allows you to observe and find something else. Now you're like, oh, what about that over there? And then you go to that next thing and you learn about that. And then once you do that, you go to that next thing. I gave the example, we always give this example of RAS during our presentations. And if you want to try it at home, feel free. But your reticular activating system is basically your mind's ability to kind of pick things out. It's your filter. Yeah. So a good example we'll give is like, hey, look around your room right now and pick out everything that's red. And you look around for like a minute or so and like you pick out everything that's red. And I'll be like, hey, now tell me everything that's blue. And you're like, oh no, like I didn't notice anything because of that filter. Now imagine doing this in a different way, like you're learning price action. If you're looking around your room for everything that's blue and I give you 1 minute, the first time you do it, it's going to take you a little bit. You're going to find certain things. If I ask you that question every day, and this is kind of like you going on to the charts, right? It's going to be easier and easier to pick out those blue things because those blue things haven't changed. It's like, my t-shirt. Oh, this thing over there. Oh, that. So now seeing the normal blue things is second nature. Now your brain is able to pay attention to the newer blue things that you never even saw before, where it's like, hey, I got this little tax bill sitting there, or the microphone thing, or a little card that my kid left in here. And you're uncovering things that are new to you, but they've actually been there the entire time. And that's what reading a price chart is. So you go to a book or a video or a training, and you mentioned the emergence course, right? If you haven't taken that, it's, I don't know why you haven't. Yeah, like it's we do so many workshops and it's there for you to learn, but it kind of gives it gives you kind of a heads up about these concepts where it's like, hey, this is important, right? But then it's up to you to actually go on the chart and learn it. And that's our philosophy as coaches. And we're not doing the work for you, right? You don't come into tier 1 trading and like you sign up and then boom, you're like, you're a successful trader, right? No, we're not doing your back testing for you. We're not doing your analysis for you. We're here to tell you, hey, you need to pay attention to this, and you probably need to learn it in this order. But it's up to you to put in the chart work. So that learning curve, if you're someone that's going to invest 2 hours a day, every day consistently, you're going to learn at a different rate than someone that's investing 2 hours a week. And it's just because you've spent more time training yourself. So it's all about a combination. I think those things are good starts. And there's many good books out there that I read to this day. Art and Science is a great one. There's a few other good ones as well. There's a bunch of junk books out there, probably, I'm assuming, too, and videos and whatnot. But I think the best advice is what you said, Jason, like, experience different things, and when something is common, you jot that down, because most technicians, most chartists, we're looking for the same main things, and then we may use them in a different way, but it's the same concepts that are going to be important across the board. But you got to go out there and put in the work to train it, and then be willing to be creative and start uncovering the other things, start being curious, I guess you can say.
Yeah. And that is like, there's no limit along that scale, but there are things to consider. So going back to the cake analogy, and Akil saying you need to put in the work to get creative, it's really going to come down to the price you're willing to pay, the quality of your system, the difficulty of how difficult it is on your life to actually develop that. And that's really it. So let me give you an example. Using the cake metaphor or analogy, let's just say that you buy a chocolate cake from a supermarket, right? The price is going to be pretty low. The quality is probably going to be pretty low. Flexibility is low. You just get what you're given in the box, right? And the trading metaphor for that particular situation would be just to buy an algorithm online, right? Buy a signal service. If you was to go and buy a chocolate cake from a restaurant, however, the price might be medium. The quality might be medium. Okay, the difficulty might be low to medium, and the metaphor would be you go and take a strategy from a financial advisor, maybe, right? And then it just goes up the scale. So if you was to go and buy a cake from a world-class chef, then the price is going to be medium high. The quality is going to be high, right? The difficulty might be high because you've got to locate that chef in the first place. So the metaphor on that might be to adopt a trading strategy from a world-class trader, which is, you know, there's plenty of those strategies. There's plenty of educators sharing those strategies as well. But then it's when you get the pre-mixed cake box stuff, and then it's up to you. Like, the price might be low because all you've put in is you've got all these bits and pieces, and now you've got to put some time in, so the difficulty might be quite high. And then you've got to learn how to fit those ingredients together and bake them at the right temperature and get it to the taste that you like. And that's when you start to move on to high quality trades, full control of the system, full control of the money management, full flexibility in the system. And that's where you get freedom in your trading. So when you look at it like that, there's many ways to bake a cake and there's many ways to get a cake, right? But they're all eggs, flour, water. So there are certain things that you need to understand, and then the rest just comes with time, development, like just developing your skill. And that's kind of all I've got to give on that one, I think. Akil?
Yeah, there was another part of the question I didn't share a few, but the trader was asking specifically about a certain author, saying, hey, have you ever, and I'm assuming this trader had bought one of those authors' books and said, hey, what do you think about this author? And I think it's important to understand when you're looking at authors or content creators, mentors, coaches, it's, there are going to be different fits for different people. We were talking on the chat here on YouTube about the art and science of technical analysis. And Greg had mentioned, great book, very detailed, probably a bit too much as a starting trader, in your opinion. And understand that everyone's going to talk to you different. Everyone learns different as well. So it's like, for me, example, like I am very art-based in my trading, right? I need pictures, I need visuals to learn. Like I need to be in the mix. If you're someone that's writing a book, and I've read books before or attempted to read books before where it's very quantitative, just a bunch of numbers and stats and not really any diagrams, like I don't learn well from that person. No. Or, maybe you have a teacher out there, like Jason, for example, who can make the analogy of baking a cake, and someone at home is like, yeah, I get it. Like, but someone else is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. It's about finding that mix as well. You need to find, it could be the best author and writer in the world, but if they can't relay the information to you in a way that makes sense, it's not going to be purposeful. And no. We see that in coaching a lot, where, and this is why, typically the greatest players, greatest traders aren't really great coaches. And again, there are outliers all over the place, but typically it's kind of like not your mediocre, but your average players. And I don't know about you, Jason, I don't consider myself a great trader. Like I'm a good trader. I get the job done, but I'm not upper echelon. And the reason that we can provide messages that tend to hit home with most people is because we've been through this at a level where we just didn't get it. Like we really had to work, all the things that Jason mentioned. However, if there's someone that just is natural, that has that gift, right? The discretionary trader that just has this feel and it's consistent. They've been doing it for years. They're a super trader. If you ask them how to trade or explain what they're seeing in the market, they probably can't do it. They're probably like, well, don't you see it? Like that's a buy. And you're like, well, why? Come on. It's a buy. Yeah. I remember hearing a story from, it was a former NFL player who was kind of mediocre. And there was this Hall of Famer, right? One of the greatest players of all time was on his team. And the coach put that player in charge of trying to teach the younger players how to do this move. And it was this move that this player did 1,000 times every game. It was unstoppable. And he was trying to explain it to younger players. And he's like, I don't really know what I do. It's like, what do you mean, man? How do you not know what you do? You do it every day. He's like, I just do it. Yeah, and there are some traders like that, and there are some coaches like that. And so again, it's important that you find that right fit. Find someone that connects with you. Find a message that, and especially in books, a way of writing that is easily digestible. Some people write very, very well where it flows. Some people write, very poorly. I'll give one last example. I remember taking a course on Elliott waves years ago. I forgot the lady's name, but like, amazing trader. She is knowledgeable beyond any means, but horrible teacher, in my opinion, for me, because the teaching method was bland and robotic and full of numbers. And I couldn't get past like one section at a time without falling asleep. It just didn't connect with me. So it's like, I'm sure that works for a lot of people. For me, it didn't work. So I took what information I needed from it and moved on to someone else that was a better fit. But, finding that fit is, as far as books, as far as videos, as far as, mentorship, coaching, whatever it may be, is just as important as understanding what the right ingredients are. And obviously you want to be safe out there. You want to take someone that can coach and teach and relay a message that is also relaying the right message. Because unfortunately, there are a lot of very charismatic people out there that will kind of suck you in and get you all excited and sound awesome, but they're giving you straight, bull. So it's you got to be careful on that end as well.
I think we did we do an episode on like who to trust, not to trust, like good.
We bring up names of people, like
I'm pretty sure
cross them out.
I'm pretty sure
you see this guy run.
I'm pretty sure we did an episode on good educators. Unless I dreamt it, I think we did.
We might have. I was talking about that this morning about what you said about we were having a whole conversation about the business of scamming and how like it's a real thing, and like the going off what you said about kind of core principles. It's interesting. You talk to the real traders, real coaches, right? The message that you hear us given today, right? You go back 5 years, I don't know how long we've been doing YouTube stuff, 5-10 years, it's the same message. You fast forward 10 years from now, right? We're going to come on the coffee break relaying the same message. And it's going to be boring and repetitive. Why? Because nothing changes. But the scammers out there, those are the ones kind of like whatever that hot topic trending issue is, they're going to switch up every month because because there's no substance behind what they're doing. They got to sucker you in on the excitement. Oh, did you hear about the debt ceiling, the default? This is how you trade debt ceiling default strategy, right? And it's like... It's crazy, man, but it's true.
I know. Oh man, well, we've been going about 25 minutes already, man.
Oof,
so this
sorry,
is going quick.
I gotta pick my kid up from school.
Right. Look, guys, if you want to share any tips on that, it's not really much to it. I mean, just learn the basics. There's plenty of places to learn the good basics. Immerse yourself and go and check out the tier 1. Free stuff, there's nothing to lose. As Akil said, why wouldn't you do that? There's really no need. And that's about it. So if you guys have got any topics you want to discuss around the coffee break, let us know in the comments. And until then, take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you at the next one. Take care.
Thanks for joining us for the Trader Coffee Break. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to never miss a live discussion. Follow our hosts on social media. And remember, do nothing to gain perspective on everything. See you next week.